Alright, all you music makers, video game players, entertainers, streetlight crusaders, listeners of the madness, game show contestants, and I guess a couple of you telemarketers that are most likely going to call in since we decided to do this show in the midday hours, which I think was pretty silly on our half because you're going to hear a lot of trucks pass by. We're back! You know, something I always wanted to say to open up one of these shows, so at least I can check that off one of my lists. And welcome back to the return of a work in progress. I am your host from the East Coast, DJ Smokey, and man, oh man, 2 months, 2.5 months this was supposed to be out by, but yeah, a lot of things have happened since the last time we were going to do this show. This show was supposed to take place at the end of September with a lot of good news, but yeah, let's just say a lot of things happened in between from August 30th till now that drastically changed when this show was supposed to come out, and a lot of things I've been meaning to get off my chest, and I think this is the perfect time to do it. Now, first off, the reason why in the world this show took so long to do. For those who don't know, and for those who've been living under a rock or haven't been watching MusicVillage over the past couple of months since we decided to go missing because we had to attend to some family business, yeah, we went down south to visit our family for about a good 3 weeks. So we went missing by going down south. And when we went down south, we made sure when we were riding in the car with our brother, making our way down south to check out a couple of family members we haven't seen in years, some even decades, and some I never even met before, or some I don't even remember meeting but probably met when I was in diapers. Yeah, let's just say it's been a long time, and trust me, the experience of going down south from somebody who hasn't been down there in well over 2 decades, maybe a little close to 3, it's been a real experience. It really has. Not only from the friendly people I saw down there, the different amount of speed limit sign changes I've seen, different forms of lights on the street signs, and not to mention the fact, and something I still can't get used to because, for those who don't know, I do live in New Jersey, the fact that everything is so far away from each other down south was absolutely insane. Something I couldn't wrap my head around, saying, oh well, you know, I can go to a convenience store and get something to eat. You know, it's right down the street, about 5 minutes. Down south? Well, that might be a little bit of a difference. It might be 20, maybe 30 minutes to get to a convenience store down south compared to what I had to experience up north. Something that my sister showed me and really blew my mind when I was down south, and it was absolutely insane. Another thing that took me a while to get used to when we were down south was the fact that everything was so quiet. I kid you not when I say this, folks. If I had the willpower to do so, and yes, when we were down south, I did bring my equipment, but we didn't do any shows. My God, we could have done the Tuesday night special at 3 in the afternoon, and nobody would have known the difference. Nobody would have been the wiser. And the sad part about all this is, folks, is when we were down south for the family business that we did had to attend to, which was a bit emotional for some, yeah, we could have had the opportunity to keep doing the shows that we kept on doing, including this show that we were going to entitle MusicVillage Goes South, which we still are going to entitle, but there was going to be a lot of very interesting things added to it, and a couple of ideas that I wanted to run by my sister that I really wanted to do because, for those who don't know, my sister, besides being a Hawkeye sniper in games, it's really good at Overwatch. And something we wanted to do was her telling us stories of all the Overwatch games she played and have it called something along the lines called Mrs. Game in Overwatch. And we had some silly title for it. My sister was gonna go and do a run through of all the different plays she did in Overwatch, and we were gonna mention it week on weekend for MusicVillage or for even the Indie Radio Arcade to give a couple of you out there a couple of tips on how to play Overwatch. Yeah, that's what we were gonna do originally, because she had a whole bunch of highlights saved from top to bottom, and each one of them funnier than last. So we really were going to have her on and say, well, why don't you tell us about a couple of the Overwatch experiences you had in the past? I'd love to hear them. And have a microphone hanging overhead. It would have been hilarious, but we never really pulled the trigger on it because our mind was somewhere else besides the experiences in Overwatch. I think it was because we were so mesmerized at the fact that everything was quiet, we never really got a chance to do what we really wanted to do. It boggled my mind. The one opportunity we were looking for years on end, since we've done MusicVillage, Under the Radar, the Indie Radio Arcade, the Tuesday Night Special, all those shows, we hoped for one place that had absolute silence, and we had it, and we did nothing with it. My only regret when going down south, that and the fact that we never got a chance to see any of the freight trains that passed by, because there was one, a big one, according to what I've been told, that actually passed through and took well over an hour to get from where it needed to be across the railroad tracks that was not even a couple of miles away from where my sister lived. I missed the opportunity to see it. Broke my heart as a train fan. Really did break my heart. And another thing we had for an idea and something we were going to do when we were down south was tell you guys about a couple of the games that we played for an outside the box review short. And I think we played, 3 games? Maybe 4. One I remember offhand because I heard from a lot of people who are fans of this game series that after 15 years of waiting, the game sort of didn't live up to the expectations, and the game I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is Kingdom Hearts 3. We played Kingdom Hearts 3 from start to finish. That's how long we were there down south. We played the full game of Kingdom Hearts 3 and was going to do an outside-the-box review or a full-on video game review for the game of Kingdom Hearts 3, and in my opinion, it's a fun game. It really is. And also, right now, and Maestro, write it down, because I got a feeling for the first show in AC December, that's next month for those who don't know, that's December, we will be doing a review for Kingdom Hearts 3. Originally, we were going to wait until the summer of RPG, but then I said, oh, why wait that long? Let's go ahead and do it in December. You know, before the year wraps up, let's review that game, and hopefully alongside with it, Mass Effect 3. Or, not Mass Effect 3, Mass Effect Andromeda. Yeah, wanted to play Mass Effect 3, never got it, but really still do want to play it. Another game we played and completely demolished was Hitman 2, or actually no, Hitman 1. We played the first Hitman game, wanted to play the second, never got a chance to, and just to let a couple of you at home know, yes, we got into a couple of incidents in Hitman where my sister said, well, that was stupid. Yeah, it felt like old times visiting my sister. Let me just say that much right now. Having her over my shoulder watching me play those games was probably the happiest 3 weeks we've had, because she saw basically me being me in video games, which was absolutely hilarious. Especially the incident where I tried to take out one of the people with a wrench. Like if I was Super Mario or that guy from Freedom Fighters. What, Chris? What's his name? I think it was in Freedom Fighters. The name of the guy was Chris. Yeah, Chris. Let's just say that plan didn't work and it ended with a whole bunch of gunfire. But I did dress up as a plague doctor during one of the instances. So there may be a video game story in the near future for that. And the other game that we ended up playing when we were down south, I do believe was, I think Far Cry 5. Yeah, Far Cry 5. The first couple of stages for it. And it wasn't a half bad game. I had a chance to have a bear as a pet, raided a whole bunch of bases, tried to drive a whole bunch of cars, and yeah, it went bad too. Yeah, I think every single incident I got into in video game world down south did not end well. And I think the only thing we actually ended up recording when we were down south, in between us playing games, watching cool horror movies, and even getting a chance to watch the night sky down south, which I recommend for anybody who lives up north or live anywhere in the northern area of the United States that has a whole bunch of lights. Go down south or to a place in your local area that doesn't have a lot of lights. I don't mean go to some pitch black area in the woods, but go somewhere where you can see the stars. I mean really see the stars and listen to some music, and trust me, it's definitely mind-blowing. Because I think when I was down south, while I was down there, and my sister don't know this, but after I helped her take out the trash, I sat back, grabbed my headphones, my computer with some Mastodon songs in it, and just stared up at the stars for a couple of minutes. Definitely something I don't regret doing. It was absolutely beautiful. And I think the next time I go down there, that's what I need to do. Just go ahead and just grab a lawn chair, stare up at the stars, and just wonder. As long as the same amount of night traffic that comes through here near MusicVillage headquarters doesn't come through there, yeah, should be fine. Even though my sister told me there was deer in the area, but either way, like I said, I should be fine. As long as I don't bother them, they won't bother me. And Maestro's starting to get weirded out because I'm starting to stare at the ceiling like stars are out right now, but since it's in the middle of the afternoon, there is no stars nowhere in the world that will be out at this time of the day. And if it is, something is seriously wrong. Another thing we were able to do down south, besides, stargaze, play games, is just look at the different commercials that they had down south. And one of the commercials they had was a lawyer that had a number that had 999-999999 or something like that. It was a weird commercial. I liked it. Not to mention the different music I was able to listen to. Also loved it. The food I was able to try when I was over at my cousin's house. Definitely something I loved as well too. And yeah, even got a chance, and rare occasion folks, to take a picture alongside with my brother and my sister in the same picture. That's like seeing a unicorn and a rainbow in the same area. To get us all in one place at the same time is definitely a rare thing when I tell you folks. I mean, granted, it was easy to do when we were younger, around 10, maybe 12, 11, but now at the age we are now, nope, rare occasion. And the fact that somebody was able to get a picture of all three of us together may hang that up in MusicVillage headquarters. Something I may do in the near future. And one thing we did end up recording before anybody say, oh, he didn't record anything down south. Now, one thing we did record was one of the tales from the disc. And that was the one from The Sims 3. And while we were recording it, and it was just when we were about to leave, we said, hold up, we can do a full episode of MusicVillage right now. I mean, there's no cars, there's no people, sisters out getting groceries, we can do MusicVillage right now. But for some strange reason, we did not pull the trigger. We decided not to do MusicVillage until we got back up north, and the reason for that is because our headspace was truly not in the right place. I mean, granted, the reason why we were down south was definitely for a very, very sad reason, but we wanted to get our mind off of it, and we thought recording would have been the thing to do, but we couldn't do it. I mean, the only reason we were able to do the Tales from the Disc because it was something dark, something gloomy, and something that horribly happened to one of the characters I played with in the world of The Sims. Now, for anybody out there who thought that all of the Tales from the Disc, because the way that we told it wasn't true, they were. For The Sims 3, and this is a little back synopsis of what happened for that video game story, without all the spooky stuff behind it. One of the characters I had in that game who did go by the name Dante the Great, which we got that name from, I do believe, the second installment of VHS. I'm not sure if it was from VHS 2 or VHS 3, but there was one where a magician who did all these great tricks from Houdini's cape was able to pull off all of these cool things. So we named the magician that we had, who actually had witch-like powers, or warlock powers since it was a guy, we decided to name him Dante the Great. I mean, he could do stage tricks during the day, and at night, he would use the money to support his witch-like things. Now, what happened one day in that game, an horrible accident, when I was doing the Buried Alive trick, and I tried to speed up time, because usually he does the trick, game over, woo, ta-da, he's done, he's out of the box, but the one time he did it, he was stuck in the box and didn't come out. So the Grim Reaper showed up on stage and was about to take him away. But fortunately, because he was married to a witch who was high in witch-like power, was able to save his life, and at the same time, while saving his life, was able to take the life of the person who didn't like me in the first place. Because for some strange reason, they required a sacrifice for me to be brought back to life. I'm not sure if that was an actual thing, but it happened. Because the second he was brought back to life, the guy died. And cosmic balance or something like that. But yeah, that's exactly what happened during that video game story, and it's the 100% honest truth. So for anybody out there who ever thought, oh, all those video game stories you've told are lies, trust me when I say this. They are 100% true. And I think I need to start having more video evidence of all these video game stories and great moments in wrestling history. Because I think a while back ago, I think somewhere around July, kid that went by the name of Doodle Squirts, I think was his name. Yeah, pretty sure that was his name. Said, oh man, I don't believe you. Where's the proof, bruh? Where's the proof? And I think it was regarding my big shot that I did in Hot Shots Golf. And luckily for me, I did have footage of me doing the high arc and rainbow shot and the ball landing in the hole. Said, there's your proof. Go ahead, look it up. So one day I am going to have to get some form of proof for people out there who don't believe of half of the craziest things I've ever done in video game history for these video game stories. And I'll tell you this much right now, the last two video game stories that we have for this Instant Classic month for this month are going to be a bit of a doozy. Not as much as a doozy as the one that's going to take place in AC December, but pretty close. And both of them, I do believe, are handheld games. So yeah, like we said before, we're keeping up with the tradition of the Instant Classic month. Every single week this month, we're going to have a game that goes back to my childhood and might be handheld, might be Atari, might even be Super Nintendo, if you will, to quote Dusty Rhodes, that will be featured during the show. And I can't wait to share it with you guys. And one of the ideas, and I do believe we said this during the month of horror, that we really wanted to have was not only our mom, but our sister a part of something I like to call senseless horror, which we will bring back next year, where we're going to talk to people about horror movies that they watched when they were a kid, and, you know, those people who stare up at the theater and say, oh, don't go in there, don't go in there. They would have lived longer if they didn't go in that room, and we would talk to them about that. So that's something I'm looking forward to do once this whole pandemic thing goes down, and something I really wanted to do with my mom, but for those who don't know, and the reason why we went down south, unfortunately, because our mom passed away. And we had a lot of plans for a lot of cool things with her, but unfortunately not meant to be. But at the same time, dedicating an entire month of trying to scare the living bejesus out of people for the month of horrors, that's something we really were proud of this year for the month of horrors. And not to mention, and I think I should pat myself on the back for this, for the first time ever, we were able to do a Tales from the Disc for the Indie Radio Arcade. And the fact that we were able to have a horror show for the Indie Radio Arcade, something I was really proud of. And not to mention, it completes the full circle set of all the shows we've ever done horror shows for. Because we've done one for MusicVillage, we've done one for Under the Radar, I do believe we've done 2 for the Tuesday night special, and to circle back to MusicVillage, I think we've done 3, 4? No wait, I think 3. We did 3. Or was it 4? Maestro, was it 3 or 4? Apparently, according to the Maestro, it was 3. We both might be wrong. And oh, one thing we will say, leading up to this show, and the fact that it took us so long to do, we also forgot, for you Twitch fans out there, and we would apologize on the air for it, but it's been a bit of a mess. We still owe you guys, and we answered this question, I do believe last month or the month before last. I think it was last month where we answered the question and told you guys that we are planning on bringing back the Federation Online MDickie Wrestling Revolution season, and we are. I do believe before Thursday or Saturday, somewhere before the Survivor Series, we're going to bring that back with not only a big championship match, but hopefully before the end of the year, a season or series finale for it all, where we're going to have a humongous blow-off match known as the War of the Champions match, which will be a War Games elimination weapons match that will take place in about, 4 episodes from the pay-per-view we're going to have this upcoming Thursday on Twitch. I do believe it's still going to be called Fatal Attraction. So yeah, originally wanted to have it in September, but like I said, since all the stuff that went down before we went down south, wasn't able to have it. And not to mention, my suitcase was not big enough to fit this oversized computer in to send down south to do all this stuff. Because if it did, I would have. And try to have my sister as some form of guest commentator and have her wear a cowboy hat to be like JR. But then again, I don't know. Did she take her cowboy hats with her when she went down south? It's a question. I don't think so. I would have had to barter one, or buy her one. Barter one. Either way, it would have been extremely funny, but these are ideas that I got a feeling the next time I do go down south, which I hope is really soon, hopefully after all of this COVID-19 thing calms down, and once again, really hate to call it a thing, because this is very serious of what's been going on, and I really hope there's some form of happy ending to it, despite all the people we managed to lose over this past year due to COVID-19. Which is still very heartbreaking, I may add, and I do believe I lost a couple of family members due to that horrible disease as well. But outside of all of the sad things, we want to keep things at least uplifting for this episode of A Work in Progress, Music Village Goes South, because one thing I did see down south that blew my mind was the low gas prices. I think gas down south compared to what it is in New Jersey is off by at least 30 cents. So I do believe gas right now is what, $2.23, $2.13 at the cheapest. So down south it would be about $1.90, $1.80. Yeah, that's how cheap gas is. But then again, a lot of people still complain about those prices, and then I bring up what the prices are in New Jersey, and they said, okay, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the gas prices here. I think the next time I do go down south, I will make sure I bring my microphone, my A game, and every single show that I could possibly do, even though that I got a feeling my sister's neighbors will complain when they hear it. But yeah, I'm going to definitely try to get my sister involved in at least one of the shows that we do, and at least have a cross-reference for half of the crazy video game stories that I've mentioned during the show. And as a matter of fact, when we were down south, and I'm not sure, it was like we picked up where we left off those many years ago when I saw my sister face to face instead of talking to her over the telephone, and kept talking about all the crazy incidents I got in with not only Hitman, but also with the driving games that I played. I do believe Destruction Derby was brought up in a conversation, and that high arc and rainbow shot that she pulled off, and even a couple of the incidents that I got into with 007, and, oh yeah, definitely once again Hitman. And a little bit of Far Cry when I used to do that whole ballroom dance with the dead bodies in Far Cry 4, which I do believe Ed Boon got that idea for Kano's fatality from me. I'm not sure, but I'll take credit for it, because I did do that a lot. And, oh wait, Bray Wyatt did the same thing when he was in FCW or / NXT when he came up to the main roster. One of his finishers was when he avalanched somebody in the corner, and then when they were out, he would dance with them before hitting them with the Sister Abigail. You know, I should credit myself for that, but I got a feeling that's not going to happen. And since I've come back from down south, besides the video game experiences and all the other stuff that we brought from down south, including my sister allowed me to listen to the new Evanescence CD. Not half bad. Then again, I haven't listened to Evanescence. Yes, that's the side band they're called. But no, I haven't listened to Evanescence in about a decade. And to hear them now in a full CD, not in a full repeat from a radio station, it's not half bad. Seriously, not half bad. But back to what I was saying, what I brought back from down south, besides a whole bunch of cool memories, my sister's laughter for me doing silly things down south, a couple of future video game reviews and movie reviews of horror movies, and even some action movies of, I do believe, the one guy who was in the Raid series being featured in a Kung Fu movie that I will probably mention around the Year of the Fist, and trust me, it's an excellent movie. I forgot the name of it. I'm gonna have to call my sister to find out about it, but yeah, definitely a cool movie with a lot of cool Kung Fu sequences in it. And another thing that I brought back from down south, besides all of that, was some happy memories, and definitely my brother's driving skills of driving extremely fast through traffic, and the ability to see the stars. I think that was the number one thing I brought back, because every single time when I get a chance to, even after the Tuesday night special, if it doesn't take place before the butt crack of dawn, we actually go outside, look at the stars, and just stare at them. I think on 3 separate occasions we saw a shooting star while looking up at the stars, but it gave us some inspiration and a little bit of peace. You know, despite a whole bunch of Russian cars, skunks, and everything else that we would expect around here that we call night traffic that would run through here near MusicVillage headquarters. And by the way, we almost got sprayed by a skunk by looking up at the stars one night, so I think the next time we're gonna have to try to reset that bulb in our backyard so we don't get hit by a skunk. Cause that's the last thing I need to tell people on the air. Yes, hey ladies and gentlemen, how you been? How's things been as of late? We got hit by a skunk last night. And no, I don't mean the skunk was driving a car, maestro. I mean he actually sprayed me and we had to bathe in, I guess, baking soda or whatever modern cure they would have for skunks. Yeah, that would be bad. That would be real bad. But the overall stuff that I was able to do for the month of horror this past year, I really did love, and I hope a couple of you out there did love it too. And I think by next year, we are definitely going to have that senseless horror with other people. Yeah, we gotta have it for next year. Because we don't know, with all the stuff that's been going on as of late in the background, we definitely need to make sure that happens. And with this month of instant classicness just about halfway over, one thing we said prior to getting onto this microphone, besides getting a whole bunch of stuff off our chest, was something that we wrote down in a book, a list of things we need to finish before the big show we gotta do for our birthday for Under the Radar. And by the way, that might be for the first time ever because we just don't care. It might be a morning show for Under the Radar next week with not only the Survivor Series results, but a couple of other crazy things we decide to add in too. And not too entirely sure if we're gonna have the Wild World of Stunts or the top 5 tracks of the week included with everything that we've added in, but if we're able to fit it in, yeah, we will. And since it's probably gonna be a rain out that day, we might have a, 5 to 6 hour show. I don't know. That may happen. But outside of all of that, folks, another thing that we wanted to touch on, and yes, we did take notes just in case we forgot what we were going to add. One of the games we wanted to mention for the month of horrors, and man, it really irked me that we couldn't add it in, was for Zombie U. And trust me, it was going to be a very horrifying experience for a Tales from the Disc for Zombie U. That was one of the games we wanted to add. Another one, I got a feeling would have been another one from Robotron X. And another game, I think it was from a Flash game we played a couple of years ago called Regenerator. And that would have gotten gruesome as well. And even a game that we were originally supposed to have for Devil's Night for MusicVillage for that Friday prior to Halloween, but we changed our mind at the last second, was a game, if anybody remembered it, called Divine Intervention. Yeah, we were going to mention that, and one of the instances that was going to happen, or incidents, was going to be me getting stabbed in the neck by a demon girl on roller skates with a kitchen knife. Yeah, that happens to you in the game. That's one of the deaths that you can experience in that game. I'm not kidding. Maybe next year. Hey, maybe next year it can happen. And, another thing behind the scenes that we wanted you guys to know, besides us maybe before the end of the year getting back into Phantasy Star Online, or even jumping into the world of Phantasy Star Online Infinity, or wait, Phantasy Star Portable to Infinity. Because, like we mentioned before during one of the Up to Speeds, they did come out with the English patch, and we have a whole bunch of our characters from the PSP version that we can transfer over to that game and use to help us level out this character that has this special photon power that allows you to shoot beams of light at people. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely take full advantage of that in the near future, along with the fact of me hopefully making a return in enough time to try to go for the Ogla Flow Sword in Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2. Because it's been a long time coming, that, and I think I do have a computer that can actually play it. That was another problem we ran into, is that after our laptop we had to take to a repair shop, unfortunately the game got uninstalled and we have to somehow get all our stuff back, including the password, which I do believe we forgot. Yeah, that tends to happen. We have short-term memories when it comes to passwords. But don't tell nobody. And another thing we've been doing in the background besides that in the near future was 7 Days to Die that we touched on for Under the Radar, but some big news, folks. After not playing that game for almost a year, we got back into it and decided with the spare time we have in between thinking of ideas for all the shows we're going to do for the rest of the year leading into 2021, we decided to rebuild one of the houses that we had, and with the help of our friend Juju, I think I've actually done it. And only this time, instead of living in that small cabin that we used to have in the PC version that had those long row of spikes, we decided to move all the way to that house in the cornfield that was recommended by a whole bunch of people online as probably one of the best houses to survive that zombie apocalypse that you're in thus far. And I think the biggest test we're gonna have is probably Horde Night number 70 in that said house. Will we be able to survive? Will I be able to turn it into some form of video game story or Tales from the Disc? And do I have enough ammunition to survive this incident? I think I do. I don't know. I'm a little bit in between with it because I'm pretty sure after saving up a whole bunch of ammunition and going out like I Am Legend style and trying to get all this ammunition to prepare for the Horde Night, I don't think I have enough. But then again, I think I have, well over 900 9mm, and I think well over 600 shotgun shells. Yeah, we should be fine. According to the maestro, give me the thumbs up over there in the corner watching the boards. He's giving me the thumbs up. He think we can do it. All right, I'll take your word for it. And another game we eventually are going to have to review in the near future is Monster Hunter Iceborne. And I gotta thank my friend Alex for recommending this game to me and getting me back into this game after 15 years of not playing it. And I still owe you guys a video game story from fighting this giant oversized dragon in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. But it's one of those games that I got a feeling I'm gonna probably have to mention during the month of Fools because I tried to take it on by myself. But then again, we didn't have Wi-Fi or an access to get the other people to help us take out the creature. So we tried to take it out alone, and boy, did it end badly. So yeah, expect a video game story for that in the near future too. And yeah, a lot of stuff going on in the background behind the scenes. I'm so glad I was able to share this with every single one of you out there. And according to the maestro, another thing that's been piling up outside of the video game stories, the plans we had from not only the month of horrors, but for this instant classic month where we were actually going to mention one of those pocket handheld racing games at one point for a review, but instead went with the Tiger Electronics game since unfortunately we couldn't find the name of this tiny little pocket version of a racing game. So for anybody out there who is wondering what we're talking about, if you remembered a game, and yeah, this is gonna be like picking a needle out of a haystack, but if any of you out there remembered a tiny little racing game, like real small, rectangular almost, keychain size game where you were an indie stock car racer and you would race for a certain amount of time until you hit 999 and it played some weird Christmas song if you end up beating the whole thing. I mean, it's sort of like the pinball game we mentioned last year, but this time it played something besides Jingle Bells. I don't know what it played. I don't remember, but yeah, let's just say it was a fun game We were able to beat it, but it took us 3 months to beat. The day I remember what that game is, we'll mention it for a video game story in the near future too. So write that down, Maestro. Write that down. And outside of all of the cool video game mentions that we were supposed to mention that we don't remember the name of, I think it's time we switch gears and check out some cool homes. I mean, it's been a while. It really has. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to go into a lovely, lavish home edition of the lifestyles of the digitally rich and famous. And the first house that we have up, or technical apartment, comes from none other than Again Soon. Again Soon? No, it's Again Soon apparently, with their said house, BIM1SYP15LAS, which I do believe translates to 1 bedroom, 1.5 bath, because of not only the diagram, but also because it looks like it's in a quaint neighborhood with a 1 bedroom, 1.5 bathroom setup, and not only that, but elevator access, and even a refrigerator waiting for you at the bottom floor of this apartment. Just in case you get thirsty making your way from the top floor to the bottom, you got a chance to get drinks for absolutely free. Because they don't charge you for getting stuff from outside of that fridge. Hold on, wait 1 second. What was that, Maestro? They charge you? Okay, 86 what we just said, folks. You will get charged for drinks, but the good news is you have a driveway where you can park your car for absolutely free. I mean, they can't charge you for that, can they? Unless it's like my sister's plate or plate thing she kept laughing to her friends about down south, that she managed to scheme people out of their money in The Sims 2. That still bugs the living hell out of me. I made a full arcade in that place, but yet for some strange reason, she can make plates and magically become a millionaire overnight, but I make a legit video game business off of a Weird Al Yankovic song, and I get in trouble. Right. Anyway, besides past experiences that haunts me till the living end starring James Bond, the next house that we have up comes from the creator GS Plover 16, nice name by the way, with their said house, Elderline. And this house, which is, I do believe, a makeshift castle of sorts, not only comes with bedroom, bath, and even a place where you can practice your alchemy. Ooh, But the only bad news about this said home, folks, it does not have a driveway, but it does have plenty of space for removements. It has plenty of space for you fans out there to add a driveway or even a place where you can park your brooms and study the world of magic without worrying about witch hunts and people trying to take you out at a moment's notice. I mean, granted, it still needs a fence to protect you from zombie attacks, but other than that, if you have magical skills, you can just summon fire to get the zombies away from you. Something I should have remembered that I need to write down later on, because I forgot, zombies don't like fire in that game too. And the next game that we have up, besides a zombie defense purpose that we're going to come up with in the near future, comes from the creator Goldmine Velvet, another nice name by the way, with their said house, Rightstone. And this house, which I got a feeling is located in Strangetown, one of the towns that was featured in The Sims 2, is a beautiful desert home that is a 30 by 30 lot that comes with 3 bedrooms and 2.5 bathrooms, and gives you enough room to not only raise your children, but also raise coyotes if they happen to come around there. What, there's no coyotes in that house? You know, in a desert place like this, that would be the one place you would expect to see coyotes. No coyotes. Alright, well, It gives you plenty of room to also create a driveway, and it also comes with its own backyard oasis lake that you can jump into whenever you feel hot, which chances are, with this place being in a desert, would be all of the time. Now, with places like these, and something I'm a little bit iffy about, is just in case of alien attacks, make sure you don't use telescopes in this said house, because you may be taken away by aliens. 50-50 on that one. And the next house that we have up comes from the creator Alexandria Satori, nice name by the way, with their said house, Americana. I don't know why, but I hear the sounds of wind chimes and birds flying in the air when I hear a house that says Americana, and also after seeing this said house too, because not only it comes with 2 garages and even a driveway where you can park your cars, but it also comes with several different bedrooms and bathrooms in it, approximately 3 bedrooms and 2 baths, with a separate kitchen and diner set to go along with this beautiful house, and even a backyard bar along with a giant oversized pool, just in case you have the need to have a party to make your neighbors envious. And trust me, after seeing this said house, you will be envious. And according to the maestro, it also comes with an outdoor kitchen area too. Nice! And the last but not least house that we have up for this week, folks, comes from the creator 602-09060, and hopefully we didn't say somebody's phone number over the air with this creator number name, with their said house, Cute House. Now, the reason why in the world we picked this house for this week, folks, is because it's really a cute house. He really lived up to the name of this house, but this giant oversized 20 by 25 mansion, or 25 by 25 mansion, is a beautiful unfurnished home that just needs a little bit of your creativity touch to make it into an even cuter house than it already is. And not to mention a lot of breathing room inside of this home for you to add a lot of stuff in it too. And if I were to guess it, I can turn this into a, 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house? Yeah, definitely can turn it into that. And not to mention, you will need to add a driveway in there as well. And for those who have the ambition pack and want to be a firefighter, you just have to move the fence over a couple of notches to get your said house in order for you to become a firefighter. And not to mention, it does have plenty of room for you out there, for firefighters who are light sleepers, to keep away from the other people in the house who may get disturbed by loud noises. Yeah, so, a lot of breathing room. And with all 5 of those houses read off, folks, the house of the week for us, and it's a real tough decision, is gonna have to be the blank canvas known as Cute House, and even the house that goes by the name of Americana. Now, the reason why in the world we decided to pick these 2 houses, one, the house of Americana comes with a litany list of driveways for your cars, and even a garage for you to have your cars in or start a garage band. And not to mention, the backyard is absolutely beautiful, and you even have a backyard pool. Not many people could say that. And is that a money tree I spot in the background too? Nice! So it proves that money grows on trees, even in this house. And the reason why we picked the last house for this week, known as Cute House, well, it's a blank canvas. It's a house that's already built on the outside, but on the inside, you can turn it into anything that you could possibly imagine, and even add a basement for more space if you run out of space for this giant oversized house. And not to mention, I do believe the backyard is big enough for you to add a swimming pool, or even a steeplechase if you decide to have horses live with you in this said house. which you really would have to be one of the lavish, rich people to live in a house like that with a steeplechase in the back, which I do believe one of the characters I made had a steeplechase in the backyard. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure it was the same magician that unfortunately lost his life in that Buried Alive trick, but was brought back to life thanks to the resurrected Omicron, and I do believe a couple of shady things that happened in the background, if you know what I mean. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out any of these other great homes that will most likely have you dropping 6 to 7 to probably 10 figures to live in to make your neighbors jealous, you can head on over to the Sims 3 exchange page, only known as thesims3.com, right underneath the exchange section, right underneath the lot section, to check out a whole bunch of beautiful homes that will have you having 8-bit caviar wishes and digital champagne dreams. And the fact that I was able to remember that line after being off of this microphone for this type of show for well over 2.5 months is very impressive. And man, oh man, I really have to start updating some of these homes into my Sims 3 save files to have other people live in, because I do believe some of the houses that we've mentioned over the past couple of weeks, or months I should say, we've already added into our Sims 3 save, and we're still trying to judge which one of these houses is going to be this year's House of the Year for the Indie Awards for this year coming, which I do believe is going to take place on either Valentine's Day or a week after Valentine's Day in 2021. Yeah, we're already planning ahead for the Indie Awards for this year, because it's going to take us at least 3 months to get all the categories up and going. And for Match of the Year this year, it's really going to be a hard one to decide, with us jumping from company to company to find out all the matches so we don't miss one for your Match of the Year nominees. Which, by the way, in advance, if you want your match to win for Match of the Year, we're going by votes via either YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, or any suggestions you have for Match of the Year for this year. So once you get that, let us know, and we'll probably read off the nominees by, December or January for Match of the Year. We usually like to wait until after the Royal Rumble before we start picking true matches of the year for this year, but I got a feeling we got a couple of good ones. We may have 10. I don't know. But before we go any further into those Match of the Years, folks, I think it's time for us to check out a couple of high scores hot off the presses from the Twitterverse, from the Twitter page of @HighScore. And the first high score that we have up for today, folks, comes from Retro Rob with his high score of 39,060 from the PS4 game of Harbroxia. Never heard of it. Anyway, next high score that we have up comes from Larquay with his high score of 310, a part of the Nintendo game of Arceus Odyssey. Next high score that we have up comes from Haunted Program, nice name by the way, with his high score of 501,400, a part of the video game from the Genesis Mega Drive, ballpark error for this week, folks, of Streets of Rage. Not bad. Next high score we have up after that comes from none other than, once again, Larquay, with his high score of 16,888 from the PlayStation game of Arcade's greatest hits, the Atari Collection 1, Tempest. Next high score that we have up after that comes from Omar Gettin, with his high score of 16 for the video game known as Mario Kart DS, N64 Moo Moo Farm under 100cc difficulty. Actually, one of my favorite tracks because of the music. That and Cocoa Mountain. I don't know why, but it reminds me of something you would play for Family Feud or for The Price is Right. And if you ever heard the song before, you know what I'm talking about. And the next high score that we have up comes from Namco Player with his high score of 4,010, a part of the MSX game of Galaga, with a final score with 100% miss-hit ratio. Not bad. And Namco Player once again after my own heart with his high score of 88,670, a part of the classic game, and I do mean instant classic game, of Dig Dug for the MSX. Next high score that we have up after that comes from Larkway with his high score of 19,235 for the Game Boy Advance game of Altered Beast, Guardians of the Realms, which for some strange reason sounds like something from Land of the Lost, and with the picture of a Roman guy holding on to a magnifying glass and what appears to be a dinosaur, just might be. It just might be. Anyway, to get back on track here, folks, next high score that we have up comes from none other than Namco Player with his high score of 182,715, a part of the classic Atari 8-bit game of Crystal Castles, which for some strange reason to me looks like Q*bert, but it's not. Really isn't. Maestro said we can read another 3 more high scores, and the next high score that we have up comes from Jess with his high score of 10,718,350, a part of the PC game known as Raiden 4 Overkill. And the sad part is I only ever played one Raiden game. Need to get back into that. Anyway, next high score that we have up comes from Ransom with his high score of 84,585,111, a part of the Amiga game known as Pinball Dreams Beatbox. And the last but not least high score that we have up for this week for this show comes from none other than Ransom with his high score of That's Not Real. And the reason why we're saying that is because this is in the 100 millions, and my God, it's a big one. So yeah, let's just go ahead and read it. From Amiga, or should I say from Ransom, from the Amiga series game of Pinball Dreams Steel Wheel, his high score is 121,913,259. A part of the game that we already said, but we might as well say it again, from the Amiga game of Pinball Dreams Steel Wheel. So he beat his high score by at least 40 million points for Pinball Dreams under a different pinball game. Absolute insanity. And no, Maestro, you don't have to get the calculator out to make sure I'm right. I'm pretty sure it was by well over 40,000, or should I say 40 million points. Sorry, I forgot to carry the decimal again. But either way, folks, if you guys want to go ahead and check out any other cool high scores that are still coming through as we speak as of this moment right now, you can head on over to the Twitter page of one man only known as @HighScore, or you can head on over to their website known as highscore.com to win cool prizes for your high scores. And like we say all the time around here, whether it be after games or cool houses, is a fair trade. And the high score that has been usurped by himself, that came from the Indie Radio Arcade, but now here for a work in progress, comes from none other than Ransom with his high score of 121,913,259, a part of the pinball game known as Pinball Dreams Steel Wheel. So he beat his high score from the Indie Radio Arcade with a game from the same game, only a different arcade level. Not bad. Not bad at all. And here's hoping any of you high-scoring cadets out there don't get discouraged by this and actually try to beat this high score before next week's Indie Radio Arcade that will end off this month of instant classicness. Actually, what's gonna end off the month of instant classicness, I do believe, is gonna be another episode of madness of Under the Radar. So we gotta make sure that doesn't cross over to the AC December by any means necessary. Even if we have to borrow the Los Angeles time zones for at least another 3 more weeks. And well, there goes the bell, folks, which means it's just about that time for us to get out of here. And yeah, good timing, Maestro, because I'm pretty sure another Jaguar or some form of Mustang is going to come flying down this thoroughfare at a moment's notice to interrupt this show. So with that being said, folks, if any of you out there missed anything from this special edition of a work in progress / Music Village Goes South, you can check it out again one more time, all the time, on our SoundCloud, Facebook, or even Tumblr pages, all named the same, only known as Music Village Radio, under the hashtag A Work in Progress 34? Are you sure, Maestro, it's 34? Hold on. Apparently, according to the Maestro, yes, it's episode 34. Thank you. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out what other crazy and zany things that we still got prepared for this month of instant classicness, like an episode guide we actually had to check up before we set the number of episodes we had to mention for the end of this show, because we haven't done one in well over 2.5 months, you can head on over to our YouTube / Twitter pages, still named the same, only known as the Double Agent 0012. And by the way, for you YouTube fans out there, this will be the first episode that we upload to YouTube for this week, followed by, I do believe, Under the Radar, and then the Tuesday night special, along with this Friday's episode of Music Village. So yeah, we're gonna try to catch up with you guys with all the episodes, but trust me, with all that's been going on, we're gonna take it one step at a time, so be patient. And before we head out for today, we would like to thank, as always, you the fans out there, for listening in to a very special mid-afternoon random return gone south edition of A Work in Progress. And we would also like to thank you, the independent artists out there, for delivering that musical goodness like you always do. And keep up the great work, guys, because without your music, we wouldn't have the inspiration to come up with these crazy shows or crazy moments in video game history that we've been doing for well over a couple of decades now. It's hard to tell. And speaking of people giving us musical inspirations, whether it be for podcast or even for video game moments that we mention to you every Friday or even by next Monday for Under the Radar, but don't tell nobody, we would like to thank our musical guest, none other than Tekno AXE, with his said song, Street Walk Manifesto, that was featured during the intro and will be featured during the outro once again for this week's edition of A Work in Progress. And like always, Tekno AXE, keep up the great work, and we can't wait to hear what you got coming down the tubes next. And finally, last but not least, we would like to thank you, the independent gamers out there, for coming out with all those sweet, sweet, beautiful, lavish homes, along with those high scores that we had a chance to mention during this week's show. And I got a feeling the next time we're on the microphone for this show, we'll even mention a couple of screenshots along the way too. Hopefully. I mean, that's what we're going to shoot for. We're going to try to bring back the screenshots from Octo Curio, Oliver Snyder's, and, you know, all the regular Breakfast Club members you're used to around here for A Work in Progress or any other show that we do that mentions screenshots. And that includes Under the Radar, too. A lot of plugging for Under the Radar this week, I see. But all silliness aside, folks, I'm DJ Smokey on behalf of the maestro, who's apparently getting ready to go out for lunch, saying, when there's smoke, there is fire, and we'll see you guys next time, hopefully by next month, for another random trip down the rabbit hole known as a work in progress. But until then, folks, have a great afternoon, and most importantly, good night, everybody.
Walk down the street, saying hello to the people I meet, and I'm killing my love underneath the sun, triggering down like the smoking gun. Yeah, I ain't got no plans, just a rusty voice and an empty gas can. My car's broken down a mile behind, and I've got my life set on rewind, baby. I ain't got no plans, just a rusty voice and an empty gas can. My car's broken down a mile behind, and I've got my life set on rewind, baby. Walk down the street, saying hello to the people I meet, and I'm killing my love underneath the sun, triggering